But there are certain things, like, so for example, my mom was extremely critical, which again, as an adult, I understand, like, she just had her own shame that she was dealing with, and she just happened to be projecting that on me. But that caused a lot of my issues growing up. That's how I learned to be a perfectionist, because it was like, well, if I'm perfect, I can't get criticized, which, by the way, is not true, but it lessened the criticism. So it was still a habit that I developed that it didn't work great, but it worked enough to avoid enough criticism that I was okay with that.
Welcome to All Can, No Can't, the podcast where we toss out excuses, face our fears, and reclaim control. I'm Jeff Luther, your guide to mastering the chaos and turning obstacles into opportunities. Whether you're an entrepreneur navigating the ups and the downs of building a successful business, or someone ready to rewrite the rules of your life, this is your space to grow, to push boundaries, and to embrace doing the hard shit that leads to greatness. Together, we'll explore stories of resilience, strategies for overcoming, and the mindset shifts that let you build a life on your terms. I use my experience with a life-altering diagnosis to help you find the can in every can't. So buckle up, because it's time to stop living in can't and start thriving in all can. You choose. All right, welcome back to All Can, No Can't. This is the show where we turn obstacles into opportunity. We remove excuses to make room for action, because nothing happens until you take a step. I'm your host, Jeff Luther. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a sudden cardiac arrest survivor, and I'm a coach. I'm doing this podcast because I want to help you build the mindset and the momentum to keep moving forward 30 seconds at a time. So we're going to get right into it. We'll give a very warm virtual welcome to Angie Hawkins. She is an inner glow coach. She's a keynote speaker, an author of a book. The title I love, and I can't wait to get into it, but the title is Running in Slippers. And she's the creator of the signature glow method, which we'll talk about. She helps high-achieving women move from people-pleasing and chasing external approval to radiating unshakable confidence and self-worth. So Angie's journey is far from conventional. She was in the corporate world. She left a corporate career, and she moved from Chicago to Hawaii, which, hey, I moved from Chicago to Hawaii, but those of you that have been to Hawaii, you're detached. So that's a big deal. She's battled the silent cost of perfectionism and performance, and she's emerged with the clarity and the transformation that isn't about fixing yourself. We're not broken, and she breaks that down for us. But it's about coming home to you. So Angie, thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks so much.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me. I love your mission.
And you are with us from beautiful Honolulu, right?
Yes, correct.
Awesome. So real quick, like I hate the small talk stuff and everybody digresses, but tell me what the weather's like. It's amazing, right?
It is amazing. It's funny, a lot of people will ask me, like, well, what is the temperature? But the funny thing is, the temperature is about the same every day. Like, even throughout the year, there's probably only like a 10-degree variation. So when I lived in Chicago, it's like constantly you check the weather, because it might be raining, it might be cold, it might be hot. So like every day I would check the weather, but here I never check the weather. So when someone asks me what the temperature is, it's like I can't even like come up with a number. Like it's maybe like 79, I don't know. But it is
or
sunny
8.
today. It was rainy yesterday.
Nice. Yeah, all you really need there is a vest, right? I mean, obviously regular clothes, but then a vest.
Yeah, like I don't have... Like, actually, I was just talking to a friend yesterday, because she's going to Iowa in December, and she's like, I don't have winter clothes. And I can relate to that, because even the last time I went to Chicago, it was in the spring, but it's still chilly, right? But it's like I don't even have a proper coat or shoes to wear in that kind of weather.
Which is great.
Yeah, I guess it's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, thank you. All right, you described yourself once, which I read, as the strong one, the fixer, the overachiever. First, are you a middle child by chance?
No, I am actually the youngest, but I have really strong firstborn traits. My sister and I did a role reversal at some point, because I have very strong firstborn traits, and she has very strong like middle/lastborn traits.
So when we looked at Angie on the outside, you looked like you had all your shit together. You looked like you were doing it. Inside, you were exhausted. What was the moment that you realized that the exterior, what you were trying to put up on the exterior, was costing you your interior world?
Well, I feel like I've always known that. So I'll just go back from the beginning. This started very young in my childhood, because the very short version of the story is that both of my parents were emotionally unavailable. And so as an adult...
Hang on, tell me more about that real quick. If we could put a pin in that. They both worked?
They both worked. I don't like to go into it, only because I don't like to focus on my parents. One, because my dad has passed, and, I don't know if you've ever heard this term meat suits, but we all have, on Earth, we have our meat suits. So for instance, my dad's meat suit, he was an alcoholic. I think he was depressed. He was just very emotionally checked out. However, now that he's on the other side, we're actually very close, and I see his soul, which is actually a very good man. So it just had to do with a lot of his human baggage here on this earth. But basically what I mean by that is neither of my parents had the capacity, they didn't have the emotional maturity to love their children and give them the emotional attention that children need during their developmental years. I'll put it that way.
Okay, I can identify with that. And you, I heard you say you don't want to dwell on it. And
well, I don't want to focus on my parents is the part. Because it's like,
Gotcha.
I can be like, oh, my mom did this, my dad did that,
Oh,
but it's
I
not
see,
really
I
about
see.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question then.
Okay.
And I think this is okay. And if not, hey, look, cut me off, okay?
Yeah.
So then would you say, looking at your dad, number one, you say they didn't have the emotional capacity to love their kids, but would you say they didn't have the emotional capacity to love their kids by our standards today? Would you give them that grace? Or no?
Yeah, in a way. I guess more what I mean is, I had a roof over my head. I went to school. I had clothes. I had food. But I was not emotionally nurtured.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us would identify with that. So, and I'm only asking that because I'm trying to come to terms with some of those things. Now, I could look at my dad and say, okay, hey, I understand. Now I understand.
Yeah, and
Not
that's what I
past,
mean.
but...
And that's why I don't want to, because I'm not perfect either. If I had kids, I would not be the perfect mom. So I wouldn't want my kids to be like, well, she did this, she did that.
Yeah.
But there are certain things. So for example, my mom was extremely critical, which again, as an adult, I understand. She just had her own shame that she was dealing with, and she just happened to be projecting that on me. But that caused a lot of my issues growing up. That's how I learned to be a perfectionist, because it was like, well, if I'm perfect, I can't get criticized, which, by the way, is not true, but it lessened the criticism. So it was still a habit that I developed that it didn't work great, but it worked enough to avoid enough criticism that I was okay with that. So that is a huge reason for how I developed that overachiever perfectionist. And again, it was a facade, because I did not have it all together, but it was that's how I wanted it to appear so that I wouldn't get criticized.
Yeah. Okay, so I've already overstepped bounds on this. And
No.
But it's important to me.
It is important.
And here's why, is because this is part of your whole GLOW method. This is one of the things I'm so intrigued by so you have the GLOW method, and we'll talk about that. But G is for going back to your childhood. And some of us don't have the courage to do that. But you're making a practice out of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, how did you know? How did you know to go back?
Well, I didn't. So I actually had to have a rock bottom experience in my life. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to get help, and I need to get help the right way. And I hired a coach. And that's how I learned because all of our behaviors and patterns are usually rooted in childhood or when we're a teenager. And again, it's like, so for instance, I developed being a perfectionist because it protected me mostly from being criticized. So, but that's just something that I carried over into adulthood, because even though it wasn't working extremely well, it was working to some extent. So for instance, even in society, there are benefits to being perfect because you get these intermittent rewards, like especially in the workplace or other places. And like those are enough to hook you in to keep going in that cycle. Oh, and actually, this goes back to what you originally asked me. I mean, I knew early on that I was unhappy and unfulfilled living this way. And again, even in adulthood, I knew I was unhappy and unfulfilled, but it was all that I knew. And I didn't even think that happiness and fulfillment was something that was even available to me. So I was just kind of stuck in this hamster wheel of, this is how life is, and this is all that's available to me.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. And you seem so happy now, like in the short time we've talked.
And that's why, well, first of all, that's why I changed careers to coaching. And also that's why I tell my story, because now I'm in a space where I'm happy and fulfilled most of the time. And just to be clear, my life is not perfect, because for example, a lot of people are like, oh, I get this so often you would not believe. People think my life is perfect and that I have no problems because I live in Hawaii. That is not true. I have many, many problems. Actually, I'll tell you one thing. In Hawaii, you have to get a safety check on your vehicle every year. And so yesterday I took mine because it's due on the 31st. And my car, it's 9 years old. It has 15,000 miles because I never drive. My tires, however, are 10 years old. The tread is fine because I only have 15,000 miles. However, by safety check standards, your tires can't be more than 10 years old. So they're telling me I have to buy a whole new set of tires just so I can pass my safety check, which is pure bureaucracy, and it pisses me off. So that's just one example. My life is not perfect. I still have to deal with things. But my point is, I'm happy and fulfilled most of the time, despite the things going on around me, because I intentionally made those changes in my life. Whereas before, I was playing victim to my circumstances. Like me before, I would have taken that news of the safety check yesterday and be like, oh, everything's against me, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like I would have been playing the victim card, but I had to change how I look at things. And going back to your childhood, that was like how I was brought up. Like my parents kind of had a victim mentality, so I adapted that as my own story. So by going back to your childhood and kind of understanding why you do the things you do, you're able to break out of these stories, because that story is not true. I'm not a victim. And so for me to break out of that story, I had to go back to my childhood and decipher that and realize I was just adopting what my parents were doing. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means I have a different story and a different way that I want to live my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love a couple things that you said. Like you said, I mean, I'm happy most of the time. Like you acknowledge that we're not going to be happy all the time. But most of the time, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, but like I was saying, that's why I changed professions, because I used to be unhappy and unfulfilled most of the time, and I didn't even think it was available to me. And so I know that there's other women and other people living that way, so I'm here to tell them, like, that doesn't have to be your story. Like, it is possible to feel happy and fulfilled most of the time, despite what's going on around you, especially in this world, because I see so many people, and I get it, like there's a lot of shitty things going on in the world right now, but so many people let that affect their entire life and way of being, and it doesn't have to be that way, especially in these times, because my overall philosophy is like, you're either contributing to like the fear propaganda and like the negative vibration of the universe, or you're contributing to the positive vibration of the universe. And in the times we're in now, we need more of the high vibration. So being in that happy and fulfilled state, you're actually helping the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'll piggyback on what you said. That doesn't have to be your story. You know, to that point, your past does not equal your future.
Exactly.
Yeah, you lived unhappy and unfulfilled most of the time. Well, change the story,
Yeah.
and you did. And I want to ask you about that. So you packed up. You had a corporate job, which is security, right? So you had the security of that. Lived in Chicago, and then packed up and moved to Hawaii. I know there were some fears and some reservations. Tell me about facing those fears.
Yeah, well,
Get there. Try and get there. Try to remember. I love the emotion part of it.
No, well, actually, what had happened was in 2017, my boyfriend broke up with me, and then my dad passed away. And I was 37. I had spent 37 years running away from my feelings and not feeling my feelings. So all of a sudden, I was in such profound grief that it was impossible to repress any of those feelings. And I didn't have the tools to deal with it. So I basically spent 2017 feeling like a zombie. I felt miserable all of the time. And I didn't really know what to do with myself. And again, I didn't feel like I had a lot of agency over my life, so I wasn't doing anything about it. But then 2018 started, and I must have been in like this New Year's resolution phase, but I finally decided, like, I want to be happy and I want to make some changes in my life. So that's when I decided to move from Chicago to Hawaii. And it was well-intentioned in the sense that I was actually taking agency over my life and being accountable for my own happiness. But it wasn't well-intentioned in the sense that I was still reaching for things outside of myself to be the thing to make me feel better, because in hindsight, that's when I wish I would have started doing some more inner work, because I was hoping for this change of location to be the thing that made me happier. And spoiler alert, you cannot move away from your problems, and I am living proof of that. So in case anyone's thinking about a move to get away from your problems come right along with you.
Yeah, we're all dragging shit around, that's for sure. So in 2017, then, when you had the breakup, you lost your dad, is that your rock bottom? Is that what you refer to?
So, but that was kind of like leading up to it, because it did break me open in a sense where I started thinking about my life. But again, my attempts at change were very half-hearted because it was still looking for things outside of myself. So then once I moved to Hawaii, so this was in 2018. This was before remote work was the trendy thing to do. I still had my corporate job. I was very fortunate. They allowed me to move here and still keep my job. However, at the same time that I moved, there was this huge management shakeup that threatened my role. So the first year that I lived here, I lived in constant fear of losing my job, because again, I was in this victim mentality of, this is the only job that's available to me. I really wasn't looking at the opportunities or really looking at my capability to find another job, even if I did lose my job. Another thing that happened right off the bat, I had a really hard time making friends, which is something that I didn't have a problem with in Chicago. And being thousands of miles away from anyone I knew, it just felt very lonely and isolating. And the other major thing that happened right off the bat is, to prove how all in and committed I was to my decision, I bought a condo. But then a month after I bought my condo, a shared pipe overflowed into my bathroom sink and I wasn't home. So my entire condo flooded. So right off the bat, it's like I had this job stress. I didn't have any friends. My condo flooded. And then the next 2 years was just thing after thing after thing. Like, my grandma died. It was like, it was always something. And because I was reaching for things outside of myself to be the thing that made me happy, and the things outside of myself were unraveling, my internal world just slowly started unraveling. And then COVID happened, so I don't think I have to explain how that made it worse. But then the straw that broke the camel's back that led to my rock bottom was the end of a relationship during COVID, because I had this moment of, and I think we all go through this at some point, multiple points in our lives, of I was just like, I can't handle this anymore. But on top of that was just this sheer feeling of hopelessness, because nothing had been going well. And again, I had been living my life in this state of unhappiness and unfulfillment, thinking I was the victim. I just did not see any hope for the future, which is such a dangerous place to be. Yeah. And so I intentionally overdosed on my anxiety medication. I took the entire bottle, and it was a nervous system suppressant. So I was unconscious in my bathroom for a day and a half. I spent another day and a half in the hospital. I was released from the hospital, and I called a friend. I told her everything that happened, and I ended with, I can't believe I didn't die. And her response was, it's not your time. And her words were so profound, yet exactly what I needed to hear in that moment, because I was kind of at this crossroads where I felt worse than I did before I took the pills. So there was this huge part of me that was like, I don't want to be here. Why am I still here? But when she said that to me, it just made me think, I think I have a purpose, and I want to figure out what that was. And that changed the whole trajectory of the rest of my life.
Wow.
So that was my rock bottom.
So did someone find you in the bathroom?
No. So, this is why I feel that our soul knows what we really want, because my brain and heart felt that I didn't want to be here, but somehow I was totally blacked out. I somehow managed to text a friend for help, and she took me to the hospital. So I think my soul really wanted to be alive, or there was something divine within that, because I had no recollection of that. And again, when I came to in the hospital, it was just like, I don't want to be here. And I was actually really pissed off. So it's like my brain definitely didn't want to be alive, but there was something in me that called for help.
Yeah. So I'll ask a question. It's probably insensitive, but when you woke up, were you like, shit, I even tried to kill myself and that didn't work. Did that send you deeper, or was that really the bottom?
No, there was a sense of that for sure. There was two parts to it. First of all, I was pissed because it's like I just didn't want to be on earth, and there I was. But then I was also mad at myself. I was I couldn't even do that right. There was all the things.
Yeah. Damn. Well, hey, I'm lucky I got to talk to you, and I love your glasses. So
thank you.
I mean, so that's, if nothing else, you wear really great glasses that I get to look at. So that's
I'm known
cool that
for
you're
my
here.
statement eyewear. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then two things. There's a book. The author is Will Storr, and I can't remember the name of the book, but he writes about the high suicide rates in males, but it's about suicide. And one of the driving factors is hopelessness, because we thrive on hope.
And that's why I'm saying it's such a dangerous place to be, because I've had other moments in my life where I'm I can't handle this anymore, but it's I can still see some hope for the future. I can still see a way out. But in that moment, I truly believed nothing will ever get better, and this is how it is. And that's just not a future you want to face, right?
Right. And POWs, there's story after story of POWs that they would say, okay, well, by Christmas we'll be saved. And then Christmas comes and you're not saved, and then a large portion of them would die, and it was because they would lose hope. They set this line in the stand, and then they would lose hope. So, all right, next I want to ask you about Running in Slippers. I love the title of that book. Tell me more about that. And obviously I haven't read it. I mean, you and I just connected a couple weeks ago. Haven't read it yet, but tell me more about the book, about your rebuilding, not just surviving.
So, first of all, the title, the actual story of how I came up with the title is the introduction of the book, so I won't give that away. But in general, what it means, so I live in Hawaii, and flip-flops are called slippers. So it really means running in flip-flops. And it's a metaphor for life, because running in flip-flops and life, it can be scary, dangerous, and painful, but it can also be adventurous, playful, and fun. So, and that's what my book encapsulates, because it covers a 5-year train period of my life. It starts with my dad passing away. It takes you all the way through the attempt, but it also takes you a little bit on the backside and when I actually started. What I call it healing in earnest is because my healing journey before looked more like emotional bypassing and spiritual bypassing, whereas when I started healing in earnest, that's when I was going back to my childhood and looking why I was doing the things I was doing. And it's not easy because you really have to face some hard truths about how you have been living and how you were even raised and things about your parents. But that is how you make lasting changes in your life.
Yeah. So when you say emotional bypassing, you mean like, hey, I've got some shit in my childhood and I've acknowledged it and move on, as opposed to like really healing?
Yeah, like more like just kind of like ignoring why you feel that way. Like, hey, like maybe I'm feeling, and I hate calling them negative emotions, but I'll call them less than desirable emotions. So if you're feeling like angry or sad or something that feels less than good, you might try to be like, just like stuff it down or do something that makes you happy instead, and not really think about, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Because that causes you to stay in it longer, but it's worth it to like learn how to feel your feelings and regulate your feelings, and feeling safe in your body while you're feeling the unpleasant emotions will take you so much further than just emotionally bypassing, because then it just builds up inside of you, and then you end up exploding or having
taking a bunch of pills and passing on your bathroom floor. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, we could go many different places with that. So then going back, that's the first step of the GLOW method. Now, I mean, I know you realize this. I don't know what my question is. A lot of people bristle at the idea of going back to their childhood. How do you kind of wade them into the water, so to speak? Are you feeling stuck? Overwhelmed? It's like you're fighting against something that you can't even see or name. I've been there, literally. I survived sudden cardiac death, and I rebuilt everything. I've mastered the art of controlling the chaos. Now, I coach a small group of high performers that are willing to do the work to do the same thing. No fluff, no excuses, we just get results. If you're ready to take back control, apply now at jeffluther.com. This is all can, no can't.
Well, one of the things we work on is emotional regulation, because when you get into the unpleasant emotions of your childhood, like, so for instance, I'll just use myself an example, but I know this has been the experience of other people I've worked with. When you start feeling anxiety or the sadness or the anger, if you don't have emotional regulation, you let those emotions take over you, meaning you don't feel like you have control of yourself anymore, or like they're overpowering you in some way. But when you can learn to actually feel safe in your body and just be like, okay, I feel the anger, but overall trusting that you can handle it and that you are actually the person who's in control and the anger won't take over you, and like basically just learning to hold space for your feelings, even if they don't feel pleasant. That is actually the first step before you go back to your childhood, because it's going to bring up some stuff and you need to learn how to sit in it so that you can actually interpret it. Because again, these are the reasons why we're carrying less than desirable habits into our adulthood. So if you can't go back and dissect this, because you have to like really interpret it and analyze it, and if you can't do that, you're most likely not going to make lasting change. You can make some changes, but to have like true lasting change, and again, to be in the state where you're happy and fulfilled most of the time, you have to clean up a lot of stuff from your childhood.
Yeah. And that's what, and your program it's about lasting change. Like that's
exactly.
The whole,
yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people come to me and they just want like a month or 2 month program. And it's like, unless you've done a ton of work already, like that's not how you're going to get lasting change.
I think Staples has a commercial about that. It's called the easy button, right?
Oh, yeah. I should be like, yeah, here's your easy button.
Yeah.
I do not sell them.
Okay, so I know like you work with women, but I know from experience that with men, part of the emotional struggle is as we're young men, youth age, little league age, whatever you want to call it, we're not allowed, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, like sometimes it's frowned upon that we process negative emotions. You know, you're not allowed to be hurt, you're not allowed to be sad, you're not allowed to be afraid, because you have to be tough. And then later in life, that develops into not processing emotions. So that's why a lot of times you'll hear, especially like now in the adult dating world, I'm recently divorced, so I hear about all this stuff. You know, men are emotionally unavailable. Well, maybe they have a hard time processing the good emotions because they can never process the bad, and they just don't know how to do it. Does that sound reasonable?
Oh, absolutely. And that's such an amazing point, because people who are turned off to their negative emotions, they're also turned off to their positive emotions. And that's like a perfect explanation for it. Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people truly are emotionally unavailable. They've just numbed themselves out, basically. And men are a perfect example. Like, this does happen to women. And this is why I work mostly with women, because I just understand that experience better. But I know a lot of men will speak to that. Like, they weren't allowed to cry, they weren't allowed to feel this. And that actually manifests a lot of times in adulthood as anger, because it's like all this underlying grief that they were never allowed to feel by society or their family or whatever.
Yeah, so that it's interesting. Like, you immediately identify with it, and I immediately identify with a lot of the things you're saying about about women.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
you know, we separate the experience, but we have a lot of the same experiences. Because some people ask me, like, would you ever work with a man? I'm not opposed to it. I just think I understand the woman experience better, so that's why I market to females. But I think we go through a lot of the same things.
Yeah, I think so, and I hear you on that, because you can identify with it probably more confidently.
Yeah,
would be the way to put that. Okay, I want to know about GLOW. We talked about the G, and it's an acronym.
Yes.
I just gave it away. So would you mind kind of walking us through from a high level, like the other 3 steps?
Yeah, it's a whole process. But
3,
this is
right?
just,
Wait.
There's
Yeah,
4.
4, shit. Well, G is 1, so then it's 3 more.
G is 1, go back to your childhood. L is light yourself up, because my current coaching program is called Shine from the Inside, and it's based on this concept that we're all born with this light inside of us, but over time, you know, society, like, don't cry, don't do this, you should be doing that. Like, so over time, your light starts getting dimmed because you're conforming into society or what family wants you to do. And we just become disconnected from who we really are. So the L is a huge component of my coaching program, which is light yourself up, because, you know, to make lasting change, it's a process, but there are such quick wins that you can get early on, because just reconnecting to that light inside of you, that opens you up to the possibilities of happiness, because it's like nothing needs to be fixed about you. You're just like turned off from your own light. So L is all about lighting yourself up, and you can implement that immediately. So that's like one of my favorite parts about the program, is reconnecting people to their light.
One of my favorite parts about your program now is that you set it up for quick wins. I love wins. I love quick wins.
Well, because lasting change can take time, but there's like so many easy things you can do immediately to like gain that confidence, and like basically just know that you're a capable person who can achieve anything you want.
I love that. And you said you don't need to be fixed. Yeah, I'd love that you acknowledge that too. We're not broken. We just need to learn
who
more.
You are. Yeah.
All right, I'll try to go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. O is for overcoming external validation, because another huge part of my program is, you know, I feel like we blindly follow these arbitrary rules of society or family systems or whatever, but it's like, who made those rules, and why are we just blindly following them? So a huge part of my program is making our own rules for life, and like basically not giving a shit about what anyone thinks of that, unless you're like, and it's still about being in integrity and not breaking the law and stuff like that. But so as long as you're living in integrity, who gives a shit what society or anyone else thinks about what you're doing? Because again, it's about being who you are and being in integrity with that. So O is about overcoming that external validation and not conforming to these arbitrary rules that who knows who made up whenever, hundreds of years ago. Yeah. And then W is simply welcoming yourself back home, because again, it's not about fixing yourself. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be.
Nice. Yeah, the overcoming external validation is, I mean, that's hard, right?
It is hard. And that's not to say... I was just going to say, like, because I still, like, there's times when I post something or if I'm wearing something, there are times when I'm like, I'll catch myself thinking, well, what if so-and-so thinks XYZ? So it's not that you never have the concern or whatever. It's just that you can catch yourself in that awareness and, you know, change it around in that moment. So it's not that you never care. It's just that you care a lot less. And when you catch yourself caring, you can turn it around pretty quickly.
Yeah. Like my head goes in 100 different places. One of the things is because that's our measuring stick. You know, that's our cocktail talk. Like what you did, what you accomplished, what your run rate is in your company. So that's hard to overcome.
Yeah, and that's what I really struggled with in corporate America, because the benchmarks that make you successful in corporate America don't necessarily mean that you're smart, a good person, capable. It means you're good at playing the corporate game. And that's like, so by developing the O and the GLOW method, that's how I became extremely disgruntled with corporate America and just straight up quit. Because I'm like, this is not aligned with who I am at all, and I'm not conforming to this external validation anymore.
That's interesting. Okay, well, let's do this then. I'm starting your program tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And you're kind of giving me the intro or whatever you would call it. What would you say is the most surprising obstacle or the most common obstacle that people have with O, when trying to make that shift of getting rid of external validation? Or like, can you give us a hack or something? I'm so into this.
Yeah. So actually, like, the hack is just to have that awareness, because it's crazy how many people, and it's like they're not even consciously aware of it, but it's like actually I was talking to someone yesterday, and the reason why she fears connecting with people is because she's afraid that they'll ask about her family, and her dad has passed and she's estranged from her mother, so she doesn't really want to talk about her family. So I'm like, so my comment to her is like, if someone asks about your family, why can't you just say my dad has passed and I'm estranged from my mother? You know, it's just very basic and it's the truth. And she was like, well, I'm worried about what they'll think because I don't have a family. And what I was telling her, I'm like, the first step is having that awareness, because you're more concerned about what they think of you than what your actual experience is. Yeah. So just the first step is having that awareness, because, and again, I do that too. I'll notice myself, well, what will they think? And it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So just having the awareness is a good first step. And then it's a whole process from there.
Right. Yeah. I love that. And it's like shame. That's something that we don't talk about. You know, shame is for when you were molested as a kid, or shame was for when these huge things happen. But it's not true. Shame comes in all different ways. And you put some light on that shit, and the shame can't live.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, because my dad has also passed, and I'm also estranged from my mom. So it's like, I get it, because people are judgmental about estrangement, but you have to get to the point where, because I used to be like, I want to make the other person understand, whereas now it's like, it's not my job. You don't have to understand me. You just have to respect my boundary that I don't want to talk about it any further. You know what I mean? Like, I don't make anyone understand anything. And that's a huge part of the shift.
Yeah, that's interesting. And there was something else I was going to ask. Shit. My age.
Overcoming external validation.
Yeah.
Carry a shame.
Dang it. And then maybe it was, sometimes when we say things out loud, they're not so big.
Oh, actually, that's another part of the conversation I had with her. Because sometimes, like, you make things all big in your head. Like, well, what if someone asks me about my family and then they're going to judge me and this and that? But it's like, but what if they don't? Because some people truly don't care. Like, if you tell them you're estranged from your mom, they just move right on. So it's like, sometimes we're making things up in our head that aren't even existing. So that is absolutely a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, so when I went through my divorce, that was a big part of it, was shame. Like, that hurt.
Like, and to tell other people that?
To tell people. Because, like, okay, well, you're estranged from your mom. What's wrong with you? You're divorced. What's wrong with you? And no one ever said that to me.
But,
and I'm,
But why don't we look at it like, for example, like, because just knowing you, I look at it as you found yourself in a dynamic that wasn't healthy for you and you chose to leave. That's actually a great thing, because then that opens you up for someone else who is a better fit for you. Or you know what I mean? Like, why don't we look at it that way? Like, when you're making choices to enhance the quality of your life, why isn't that looked at as a good thing?
So, like, my rational brain agrees with you. My rational brain says the same thing, but it's like I come to you and I go, Angie, I'm about to give a talk in front of 5,000 people about your glow method. I can't even do it. I don't even remember half of it. I don't know the acronym. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm so nervous. And you go, Jeff, don't be nervous. I'm not going to go, oh shit, I didn't think of that. Thank you. Now I'm not nervous. Like, I think to answer you, and this may be way off, but I think our brain is still so hardwired about the fear of being alone and getting kicked out of the group and being eaten by dinosaurs. That's what I think. But I don't know. And you're right. It's like,
you're probably not, like, how recently divorced are you?
I'm where you are now. When you just said, why don't you?
Yeah.
But that shame.
Where, I'd rather be alone and eaten by dinosaurs than be in the wrong relationship. That's where I am at in my life. But why can't that be celebrated? Like,
I know. Yeah, but I wore that shame on my clothes.
Yeah. But also, there's nothing wrong with that, because that got you to where you are now. Because there's nothing wrong with feeling the shame. And this goes back to feeling your feelings. Because if you just repress it, then it's just going to continue being this issue for you. But because you felt it and processed it and moved through it, now you're okay with being alone and getting eaten by a dinosaur.
Right. Yeah. So glad there are no dinosaurs, right? All right, so if you could kind of narrow it down, a lot of high achievers, which is the kind of folks that probably fall into your camp that you're working with or coaching. What's their if you I'm asking you a question that's probably not fair, but what would you say is usually their missing piece? Is it because they didn't go back to their childhood? Is it because they want validation? Like, what would you say is the
overall missing piece is that they are primarily living their life for things outside of themselves and not for themselves. Meaning, and again, like, I get it, because like when you check all the boxes, like the job, the marriage, the kids, and whatever, if those aren't things that you truly want or things that fulfill you, then that doesn't necessarily mean success and fulfillment. You know what I mean? Because, like, and I don't know I've never been married. I don't know the original reason that you got married, but I know a lot of people get married because that's just what you're supposed to do, which is not the right reason at all. My
words in my head were ahead of the words that came out of your mouth.
Yeah, and so,
like, that's
but that's living for other people. That's living for society expectations. So that's like the huge missing piece, is that, well, what do you want? Because if you're in a relationship with someone who you would never want to marry, like, why are you even in that relationship? And I've made this mistake. I was in a relationship for 8 years with someone who I never had any desire to marry, but I just didn't want to be alone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was going to have a follow-up of maybe you just didn't have a desire to get married, but now you've kind of figured that out. If you could, for the people that are listening now, what's like something they could do? Like, let's say, and I know this happens. Like it may not seem like it to you because you live this, but someone that wants to work with you, they're just not bold enough to do it yet. Okay?
Yeah, and I feel like there is like this segment of the population where like they hear my message and it resonates with them, but I feel like they're still not reaching out to me. And this is what I say to them, because I was there too. Number one, I think there's like several different reasons. Like for me, a big part of it was, and I mentioned this before, I didn't even feel like happiness and fulfillment was something that was even available to me. But again, that's a huge part of why I quit my corporate job and started doing coaching, because I later learned that it was. And I want women to understand that that's true for themselves. Like, a happy and fulfilling life is available to you. And if you don't see the way, there are people like me who can help you. And another reason why they may like feel stuck in reaching out for help is that they don't feel even worthy of it. But if you are a human being living in this world, you are worthy of anything you desire. And again, you're definitely worthy of a happy and fulfilling life. So if worthiness is an issue, you are absolutely worthy of investing in yourself. And it's totally worth it.
So if they're sitting in that space, working up the courage or whatever it is to work with you or someone, what's one thing they could do right now? One small ritual, one small practice, something to get past the people pleasing specifically.
The one thing I would recommend is I always ask people, like, if you can think back to when you were like maybe 6 years old approximately, like what really lit you up? And usually, well, first of all, a lot of people are so disconnected from their light that they like can't even remember. But if you like actually take the time and think about it, and most people, when they come to a conclusion like, oh, I loved painting or I loved doing this or that, it's something that they're currently not doing now. So it's like one small step you can take to just reignite that happiness and light within you is to do the things that light you up. And maybe it's not painting anymore. So if you think back to when you're 6 and you loved painting and that's not your thing now, just find something, because even in my coaching program or just in general, I recommend to do at least one thing a day that brings you joy. And again, because it goes back to that worthiness, because sometimes we feel like, well, this is just life and I'm not supposed to be happy. Yes, you are. And like, you should be happy. You should be doing something that makes you happy every day. Even if work doesn't make you happy or whatever else is going in your life doesn't make you happy, you have agency, even if it's just dancing to a song or something. Like, do something that lights you up every single day.
Right. So I seem to recall, and I don't know where I read this, maybe in your bio, maybe somewhere. Is it true that you're still a little timid about people seeing you, like seeing you?
Oh, it was, I write this in my bio because I've been bungee jumping, I've been skydiving, but I'm still afraid of allowing myself to be seen. So, and the reason I say that is because a lot of people think that like being courageous and confident means that you're not scared. That's not what it means at all. It means that you do the thing despite being scared.
Face it. Take a step. Do the damn thing.
Yeah.
How did you... I'm trying to get in your headspace of when you got out of the hospital. Like, how did you overcome that? I mean, you had to be terrified. Holy shit, I just tried to kill myself. You had to be terrified.
Yeah, well,
or no?
It's hard to explain because, first of all, I was high as hell for days.
Okay.
Because I had taken so much medication. So there was that. But then also, like, I almost died. So life felt, and I'm sure this is something you might be able to relate to, life feels really fragile when you come that close to dying. And the best way I describe it is like for weeks, it felt like I was walking around without skin, because like right now there's a breeze, which feels good. But like back then, it just would have been jarring to like feel the breeze on my skin, because it's like any little thing I was just so sensitive to everything. And so my only goal every day was just like, I just need to make it through the day. So life felt super fragile, and it was really just a game of survival. And that's when I called my coach, because it's like, I need help. I need to get help the right way. And I need to do something to get out of this.
Yeah. When you were in it, and I ask this question a lot, but when you were in it, like in that really dark place and trying to make change to move out of it, you wanted to get out of that dark place, but was there a piece of you, or is there a piece of you now that kind of misses being there, misses the desire to change, misses the hunger for growth, misses that kind of stuff? That's a weird question, I know, but
no, I
answer
actually
the best
thought you were
can.
going to ask something else. Actually, the desire for growth is still there. Because I'm not perfect, so there's always like growth opportunities. So I still have that hunger for growth.
Is it as intense?
Do I miss the darkness of it? And I actually do miss that, because older versions of me would have excuses like, well, I can't do it because it's too hard, or I'm not capable. But over time, I've proven to myself, like, I can do anything I want, really, if I put my mind to it. So I feel like I don't have any excuses anymore. So now whenever I go on a new adventure or try something new or whatever, it's actually scary because I don't have anything to hide behind. And so I actually kind of miss the darkness sometimes, because it gives you that comfort of like helplessness and claiming that you can't do it, and it gives
you have a
an excuse to
scapegoat.
procrastinate even.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. No, that's not what I was going to ask, but that's good. Let's see. All right. So all of this, like this stuff, mental health, burnout, people pleasing, it seems, and I wouldn't say it seems like people are more focused on it. It's probably more prevalent in the world I travel in now. But is there anything you feel like is not getting the attention that it deserves in terms of mental health?
Actually, I like that you bring up burnout. I should be talking about this more, because I actually was really burned out in corporate America, because, like how I was saying earlier, it just wasn't aligning with who I was. Like the benchmarks for corporate America, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a good person. It doesn't mean you're smart, etc. It means you're playing by the corporate America rules, which are just so arbitrary, and like, who created them? We're just blindly following them. So I don't think burnout gets talked about enough, because I think where burnout stems from is like this arbitrarily following, whether it's corporate America, society, family, because you're just so disconnected from who you are, and you're just blindly following the system that you don't even agree with. And I think that's how people get burned out. And again, it's because you're performing and working towards something outside of yourself, and you're not even stopping to question, what do I want? What makes me happy? What are my measures for success? And that's how people get burned out. And I don't think we're talking about that enough.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think burnout is just an arbitrary term.
Yeah.
In my experience. So if there's someone that's listening now, somebody that just kind of feels stuck,
Yes.
what would you, if you could whisper something to them that, I don't know how to ask this. You can see I'm not a great question asker.
No, I think you are. I get what you're saying. I would just reiterate what I said before. You are worthy, and being happy and fulfilled is available to you, and you deserve it.
Okay. I love that. If you could whisper something to them a year from now, what would you have them reflect on today? So like today, for me, I would need to reflect on my health habits. I'm letting them slide today. So what's that going to look like for me in 1 year? If you could give me that question today, then I know I don't want to have these habits in a year. And I don't think that makes sense.
I would ask you, am I asking your future self or you now?
You're asking future self. But something you need me to grab onto today, but you're not allowed to tell me until a year from now.
Is this
what should I be grabbing
general?
onto?
I would ask you, like, what are you most proud of this past year?
Oh, no, that's not too general. No. That's great. Yeah. So then between now and a year from now, that's what
because you would be really proud of yourself if you were like, hey, I did this that was good for my health, and I did that.
Yeah.
And probably some other things that are not directly health related.
Right. No, that's good. That's really good. And that hits the intent of the question. So thanks for saving me on that. This has been great. Thank you.
No, thank you.
How do people get in touch with you?
My website is runninginslippers.com, which is obviously the title of my book. It's available paperback, Kindle, and audiobook, and I am the narrator for the audiobook. And there's also information on my current coaching program, which is called Shine from the Inside. And I do have my signature glow method and explains everything there. And additionally, I do offer a 60-minute, I call it a Find Your Glow session. It is a 60-minute call. We will work through whatever you're struggling with. And at the end, I will give you recommendations for going forward, because my program is not for everyone, and if it's not, I know other coaches and therapists or whoever who can help. The entire goal of the call is to get you help, because again, I know that there's people who probably don't think they're worthy. They probably don't think that happiness or fulfillment is available to them. So this is just kind of a jumpstart call to find your glow. And if you want to continue working with me, great. If not, we will get you someone else who can help.
Perfect. And I usually try to sound really smart at the end of these and come up with like this great question or this profound question. But I would rather do this. Can you give our audience a challenge? If you give them one challenge, and this is specifically around people pleasing, and you may have better ideas, but one challenge for the listeners today, one thing they can work on just for a week. If they'll commit to you for 7 days, what would make you feel happy?
I love this, especially I also love how you made it specific to people pleasers. When you're presented with something and you have the urge to appease the other person, like a simple example is if someone invites you to do something, you don't want to do it, instead of thinking about, well, how would they feel if I said no? And I'm not even asking you to say no. All I'm asking you is have the awareness of asking yourself, what do I want and what would make me happy, without thinking about the other person. And whether you say yes or no, that's a separate challenge, but just have the awareness for the next 7 days as things come up. What do I want? Do not think about the other person, just think about what you would like.
You've said that a couple of times in this interview, have the awareness. I like that.
Yeah,
like
because
hey, look,
honestly, that is like the first step. And once you have the awareness, like you can do anything.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, I derailed us one more time. And I do want to make one comment about the title of the book, Running in Slippers. My book, if I could write a book, would be Don't Fish in Flip-Flops, for that exact reason. I got stuck in a marsh, and I had to walk. I mean, I had to push the boat almost like a mile, and I always fished in flip-flops, and so I had to do it in flip-flops. So
first of all, why haven't you written a book?
Oh, it's almost done.
Oh, almost so you are writing it. Is that the title?
Yeah. No, it's nothing as exciting as that at all.
You got me all excited.
But I love the title, and when I read the title, I was like, oh my God, slippers! It's like running in flip-flops, because it's so loud and it's so impossible.
I love that description too. I'm gonna start adding that to my.
All right, so title the book.
Flip-flop. Yeah, you need to write the second book then. That title is like too golden to pass up.
Title the book, Running in Slippers, and web address one more time for us.
runninginslippers.com, because running in slippers, I actually call that my brand now, because again, like, it's just a metaphor for life.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah.
Angie, this has been so much fun. Thank you. And I think this has been super informative. I appreciate your candor and your brevity and just the real speak about all of this stuff. So,
No, likewise. Thank you so much. I love this conversation.
all right. This has been All Can, No Can't, where we find the opportunity in the obstacles. I'm your host, Jeff Luther, and until next time, I can't wait to see you. Thanks for listening to All Can, No Can't. If today's episode resonated with you, remember it's not about the chaos you face. It's about how you choose to take back control. It's about finding that one small can in the can't you're given and grinding it down. Find your angle, carve your place out in the world, and get the fucking win. Do that by finding what you can do and not listening to what you can't. You choose. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps me reach more people that are ready to embrace the all-can mindset. And it lets them know there's someone that's willing to walk with them no matter how dark the path gets. You can find me on Insta at JDLuther 2.0 and allcan_no-can't. This is where I share more tips, stories, inspiration to help fuel your journey. And until next time, keep pushing boundaries, breaking limits, proving to yourself that anything is possible, even when you're told it isn't. Remember, life's not about can't. It's all can. Go prove them wrong.